I find it absolutely fascinating how you buy a certain retro gadget for one of your old computers just because people say it's cool. And only then, after you've already purchased it, you start learning about it, start digging more into it, and you learn that it's actually way cooler than you expected. That was the case for me with Freeway Triton, this little USB card for big box Amigas designed by Matthias Hampel and built for me by DJ Cook. I bought it, started learning about it, and found out very cool things about it. And that's what I'm gonna share with you today. The design of the Freeway Triton card, and by the way, the pronunciation of Triton, some Americans I've heard pronounce it Triton, some pronounce it Triton. My English dictionary tells me Triton, so I'll stick to that. It's a Greek god, like most USB products these days for the Amiga revolves somewhere around Greek mythology. But anyway, the design reaches back to early 2000s to famous products by the German company E3B, such as Danep, Al Gore, Subway, Highway. This is a continuation, amazing continuation of those products by, as I mentioned, Matthias Hampel, sorry, and not to be confused with Matthias Heinrich, another famous developer and designer for the Amiga community. So Matthias Hampel built it on earlier designs. Freeway Triton comes in multiple versions. There are clockport versions, there's Freeway Pro, Freeway USB, Freeway Triton Lite. This one is the high-end one, Freeway Triton. The difference for example, Freeway Triton from Freeway Triton Lite is the addition of the flash memory, this series of chips here, which make the card pretty amazing. And that's what I'll be spending most of the video today about. Again, beautiful design, very simple, very seemingly unsophisticated, but very elegant. The things that are interesting from the perspective of us users here are the jumpers here and the LEDs. And of course the USB connectors, which is the key functionality of the card to provide USB connectivity for the big box Amigas. So there's one built-in USB connector here, which you can use to connect an internal device within your big box. And there's a connector for the external connectors, and it also comes with a cable and the back panel, which gives you 2 additional ports. Of course, you can expand it with more ports using a USB hub, preferably a powered hub, as I mentioned in my other video. By the way, I recorded a separate video on USB in the Amiga. All the basics of USB, the Poseidon software, Trident, etc., are covered there. So I'm not gonna go to the basics of the USB in this video. If you're interested, go back. The link is here. Today we'll focus on the specifics of Freeway Triton, especially what the flash ROM here can help you with. There are 2 most important jumpers that we should be interested in. One is the Zorro 2 jumper. If you for any reason need to put this card in Zorro 2 mode, because it supports Zorro 2 and Zorro 3 modes, and it switches automatically, but if you want to force it into the Zorro 2 mode, you can use the bottom jumper here for that. And the second bottommost jumper, called Rescue Jumper, is another interesting one. You enable it before putting your card into your computer for the first time. The reason being that this card already has Poseidon and Luciferin software embedded in it, and it's fully licensed. So when you use that Rescue Jumper and insert the card into your computer, when you boot it, you will see a drive, a virtual drive with that software, and you can install it from there. So that actually is super helpful, because it helps you escape from this vicious loop when you want to add a drive, for example, a USB drive to your Amiga, but you need the drivers for it. So how do I download the drivers if I don't have the drive? And then that loop is broken thanks to this rescue functionality. Basically, this card gives you the software right away. So this is pretty amazing. There are a few more jumpers here. I will not go into describing them because you wouldn't use them frequently. They are for disabling the USB functionality completely or disabling the flash ROM. Normally you would not use them. There's a JTAG header here for programming the firmware, and there is a series of LEDs. Some of them correspond to the jumpers. You would have a demo LED. If you have a card without the licensed Poseidon software, it would I think run for a few minutes in this demo mode, and that LED would flash. You have the rescue LED I mentioned. If you enable the rescue jumper, then this LED lights up. Again, you would only use it for the initial installation of Poseidon and related software. Then you would disable this this jumper, and that LED wouldn't light up. Then there's a Z2 or Z2 LED, which is for the Zorro 2 mode. Again, if you need to force Zorro 2. There's a flash LED which lights up whenever flash is accessed. Very helpful when diagnosing issues when you upload things to flash. I'll get to that later. There's a USB LED. It's a very faint LED, but whenever you do something with USB, use any of the USB accessories, for example, move your mouse, that LED will light up again, sort of very faint way. And there's a power LED, which is on normally all the time whenever your computer is on. That's all there is to the jumpers and the LEDs. Let's put the card into our computer. It's marked clearly on the silk screen where the front of the computer is, so there's little risk of putting in the wrong way, but let's put it in and see how it works. I have now installed the Freeway Triton card in my Amiga 3000T. And by the way, DJ Cook asked me if it worked in 3000T because that was the only Amiga that he didn't test it on. Fully confirming it's working. I tried it in all Zorro slots, doesn't matter, works fine, no issues detected. Anyway, the card is installed. You see there are two LEDs on currently, green and red one. Normally only the green one is on, it means power. The red one is for rescue. As I mentioned, this is only used when first installing the card. Use the rescue jumper, the rescue red LED is on. And what it means is that the card is providing you with the embedded software that you can install from basically the Poseidon and Luciferin. And if you look at the screen now, these icons are here because I've already installed the software previously when trying this card out, but let's ignore that for the moment. What you get when you have the rescue jumper on is this additional drive mounted in your system. So basically it's Triton install. You double click into it and you have three pieces of software. The first one is Triton Tools. It's actually just a single little program that shows the ID of your card. If you double click into it, you will see in German and in English several pieces of information. First, your Freeway Triton is already licensed. That's cool. We already have the license. And by the way, if you don't have a version of Freeway with a built-in ROM, you can download Poseidon separately from Matthias Hampel's website. In the video on USB before, I mentioned that probably the only place to legally download Poseidon is from the iComp or individual computers website. This is not true. Matthew Hempel's site is another place where it's available and fully licensed obviously with the Freeway cards that you purchase. But anyway, the download is there if you don't have it. But this version of the card already has that software embedded in it. Your Freeway Triton is already licensed. That's great. The serial number of your Freeway Triton is this and that. And have fun with your Freeway Triton. Only Amiga makes it possible. I agree. At least if that's not fully true, then only Amiga makes it fun. That's what I would say. So let's leave that window. And there are two other packages here. One is Poseidon. Again, I will not go through the installation of Poseidon. It's extremely simple, and I already installed it. Poseidon is basically your USB stack. And also, I will not get into details how it works, because you need to just check the other video that I earlier produced on the subject. I go into very deep detail how Poseidon works, what a USB stack is, and all those details are there for now, because I've already installed it. Let's quickly launch it and see. And Triton is the UI for the Poseidon. So when I launch it, and if I go to controllers, you can already see the Freeway Triton Z3, meaning Zorro 3 device, active and working. When you launch it for the first time, you actually have to add it. So you basically click new, you select the device that you have, it's this driver, and you add it. I'll cancel it now. This one can be deleted because we already have our Triton card configured here. If you go to the info box, you will see all that information about the USB controller, and it says hardware copyright 2022 by Matthias Hampel, software 2007 till 2022 by Chris Hodges. So it's really, really great to see Chris Hodges, the author of Poseidon and Luciferin, still working on Amiga USB software. I mentioned in the previous video that the Poseidon development ended somewhere 2014. That's fine, but he's still supporting new hardware designs with his work, and I find it very reassuring and actually very happy to see it. So what else can we learn about the controller? If you go to the devices section, nothing is connected here, so all you see is the hub itself. It's a 2.0 hub, so 480 megabits per second. Of course, that speed is never achievable on Amiga. It's limited by the speed of the Zorro 3 bus. Doesn't matter, but it's running. It has the hub class bound to it. Let's leave Triton. Triton again is just Poseidon, is the UI for it. Let's go to the last software package, which is the Luciferin. Again, you can install it from here, but I've already done that. So Luciferin, if you double click into it, currently, because I have the rescue jumper on, it shows, hey, your channel was booted in rescue mode, so it tells you that it will quit. But Luciferin is for uploading stuff into the flash ROM of the card, and this is where we're going to spend most of our time in this video today, because everything else, how the Poseidon works, has already been covered in that previous video which I mentioned. I can only show very quickly. If I connect something, let's grab a pen drive, and if you go to devices, and if you plug it in, you see here the sound of the Poseidon detecting a device. It's immediately detected. It's assigned a certain class. It's mass storage class because it's a pen drive with mass storage in it, and it works very fast, works very reliably. Actually, I can see that the Freeway Triton works way more reliably compared to the other piece of hardware which I tested last time in my main USB video, compared to the Spider USB card from Lbox. Probably the reason is that Spider USB card is not connected directly to the Zorro bus or to any native Amiga bus. It's connected to the mediator, which provides the PCI platform for the Amiga. So there's another layer of abstraction and another layer where things can go wrong or things can go slow, etc., etc. Freeway works super fast, works super reliably. Devices are detected immediately. You can see that it was mounted right away. My new piece of hardware was mounted here along my other drives. I have multiple drives in this system. I have the SATA drive. It's a rather beefed up Amiga. Everything works fine, no conflicts whatsoever. I really like it. Now, The key thing that we want to learn from this video is how Luciferin, the other piece of software by Chris Hodges, works. And Luciferin is for, as I mentioned, for uploading stuff to the flash ROM. Let's learn how to use it, but first we need to understand how actually Amiga boots the operating system, so that we know how great the Triton with embedded flash ROM is. The subsystem responsible for booting the Amiga and then subsequently for loading the operating system, the full-fledged operating system, is called Kickstart. We all know that. Kickstart can be implemented as a single chip or two chips, like in this Amiga, inserted into the motherboard. But Kickstart is not just one piece of contiguous software. It's consisting of multiple modules, and those modules are loaded one by one into the memory. What's interesting though, they don't have to be loaded from the Kickstart chips themselves, because the booting process scans through the expansion boards as well and looks if there are any ROMs there and can load the modules from there. So if the module name and priority is the same as in Kickstart chip, you can override the Kickstart's module with whatever you supply in the expansion boards. This is how the Cyberstorm, for example, MapROM feature works, and multiple other expansion cards have that capability. And that's exactly what happens in Freeway Triton. It has built-in flash ROM where you can upload your own modules, and you can override the ones that are in Kickstart ROM. So that's what we're gonna do. But the question is, why would we want to do that? Why would you want to supply your own modules to load during the boot process? And by the way, there are different names for them. Some call them modules, some call them ROM tags, some call them residents. It all refers to the same thing, the little chunks of software that you load during the boot process for certain reason. What's the reason? Again, there could be multiple. One, you want to patch something that is wrong with your hardware or that is not properly supported by the OS at the boot process. You can do that using ROM modules. If you want to add drivers that you need during the boot up, for example, drivers for specific mass storage, you can do that using ROM modules. What if you want to add support for keyboard or mice that are not normally supported by the OS? Again, you can do that through the ROM modules. And ultimately, you can also just play with it, and you can add, I don't know, for example, a specific logo during the boot up. It's all very flexible in the Amiga. That's why we love Amigas, and that's what we're actually going to try today. So to load ROM modules into the Freeway Triton flash ROM memory, you need software called Luciferin. The name Luciferin, by the way, in no way relates to the Lucifer. It means the chemical substance used by glowworms to glow in the dark by some beetles. And actually, if you look at the icon for Luciferin, it's a nice little beetle that glows in the dark. So let's start the Luciferin software. In the top of the window, you can see Luciferin, the flash ROM tool for Freeway, Algor, Deneb, and Romulus. So again, this is developed by Chris Hodges, so he very clearly updated it for Freeway. It's a very fresh piece of software as of 2025 now. I think the development happened mostly 2022, 2023. I'm guessing, but anyway. What is it for? It allows us to load ROM modules into Freeway Triton memory. So if you go to this tab, Flash ROM, it shows what's actually already then there in the Freeway Triton. It's only two modules loaded there, and they don't do anything special. First of them is the color one. Basically displays diagnostic information by flashing the screen in specific colors: green, for example, means everything is fine. And the other one is just a little fancy toy. It plays the A1000 Amiga 1000 jingle at boot time, and actually, you know, it's very nice that they embedded it by default, because it shows what the card is capable for, what you can when the ROMs actually kick in during the boot up process, and what and how much you can experiment with it. So with it, we already have removed the rescue jumper, so you only see the green light here. The card is in fully operating mode now. So let's restart the computer now and see how just these two modules work. So I'm rebooting the machine. Green screen, melody. These were the two ROM modules kicking in, and then the boot up process starts as regular. Let's wait till it boots. Now here's a little trick. You can actually skip loading the custom modules by holding the left mouse button. Take a look at how it works. I reboot, hold the left button, no melody, nothing is happening. The custom ROM modules are not loaded. This is how you can troubleshoot. This is how you can skip the loading in case you loaded something that is misbehaving. Actually, you can do the same by using a jumper on the card, but if you don't have the jumper access, maybe your case is on, whatever, you can just hold the left button and that will do the trick. Okay, let's explore more. So now, as I mentioned, only two ROM modules are loaded here, the color and the jingle, but they are not super useful. We can do much more. So that's our current content of the flash ROM. If we go to the local tab, you can start adding modules, and some of those modules have been actually prepared for you by the designers of Luciferin and by designers of the Freeway Triton card. They are here. You can do certain for example, Blizzard PPC fixes. You can add DNAP specific modules, all that kind of stuff. One thing that I definitely want to add is the no click. You probably can't hear, but the drive is constantly clicking. That's what all Amigas do. It drives me crazy. So no click is one of the things that I usually do in a fresh operating system, but here you can add the no click program right into the ROM, so it is available to you even before you install the full-fledged OS. You can add either from this pre-filled list, but you can also add your own custom libraries and drivers using this add button, and I have already prepared a list for myself, because once you configure the list of modules that you're happy with, you can save it. So I already saved my list. So let me load a list that I'm happy with. It's the default 2 mods. Look, I loaded it here. It shows the modules that I've chosen for my Triton card. It shows how much of the Triton Freeway Triton memory is used. It's very little, but I have already added like a dozen of modules. So there's a lot of memory here. I think it's 16 megabytes of ROM that you can use for your modules. A lot. You can do anything there. So what I've specifically chosen for this demonstration, what I'm like the selection that I'm very happy with is I'm keeping those two, color and a jingle. I find them funny, especially the jingle, because you know that your ROMs are being loaded when you hear it, even if there's nothing on the screen. Then I load the support for the USB device itself. Remember, the USB functionality versus the flash ROM functionality are two different things on this card. So if you want any USB functionality during the boot up process, you need to load the USB specific devices and libraries there. So Poseidon and Freeway do that. Mass storage class is one of the classes that is normally loaded by the Poseidon software, but here we want to load it within our Freeway Triton from the ROM module, because we want to support USB sticks there. Hub class is for supporting the USB hub. Obviously, input device is something that I specifically want for this demonstration, because what I'm gonna do is in a moment I'll connect a regular USB mouse, and you will see how it works during the boot up process, not after the OS is loaded. Boot mouse is for the same reason here. HID class, again, this is a human interface device or human input or interface, I don't remember, human interface device class for interacting with keyboards and mice. PSD stack loader, it loads the Poseidon stack right during the boot up again. And no click is what I mentioned, is the module that will stop this annoying clicking of the drive. So let's do that. Let's load all of these. Again, in Flash ROM we currently have those two ones, but if we want to load our list, you just click upload, you flash it. See, the LED is flashing for the Flash ROM. It's flashing for the Flash ROM because it's uploading to the Flash ROM. There is this message which I completely don't understand, because I haven't dug deep enough into what how the mechanics behind it work, but I always click the clear them and it always works. I'll learn more. If I learn something useful, I'll share with you. Anyway, what happens now is, in the Flash ROM we have all our modules. Each of them has a certain size, has a certain configuration. You can also pack them if you're running out of memory, but there's no need for that here. The packing happens by using this little tick here. Now that we've uploaded them, we're ready to restart. But what I'm gonna do now is I'll discard of this mouse. I'll take a different mouse here. It normally is loaded on connection when the full Amiga OS is loaded. So you see, this is what happens. You hear the Poseidon hardware detection chime here, but this is nothing special. We've covered this already in the earlier USB video. What is special about it is that I'm gonna restart the Amiga, and the mouse, you will see, you can recognize when it's being activated. The mouse will light up right at boot up process, which is amazing, and that's the big difference compared to what we were doing in the previous video. Let's restart the machine. Sound. The mouse is now active and I can actually start using it. You won't see much difference now because the full OS is loading, but you will see a big difference when I actually boot up something different than our full-fledged OS. So what I'm gonna do is, I have prepared a floppy disk with just one piece of software. There is IMP3 here. You know that I'm a big fan of IMP3 by UN. I don't have to go into that. I'm a fanatic basically. But what I'm gonna do is load just a pure system disk with nothing on it except for IMP3. So there are no drivers here, no OS specific libraries, no Poseidon stack, nothing here. We're gonna boot from this little disk, and what you will see is that we'll have full mouse support there. Actually, I'm gonna do more. I'm gonna put this away, and now we have USB keyboard and mouse, and let's boot from this disk. Again, we're cold booting, not just restarting, cold booting from a machine that is switched off, and you'll see how all the modules are loading from the Freeway card. Green screen, everything is fine. Melody, all the other modules which are loaded before to the Flash ROM are now loading up, and the floppy disk will boot, which will take a couple of minutes, so I'm gonna skip that. And now IMP3 is booted from the disk. Again, there was absolutely nothing else on the disk, but look, our mouse is working, our keyboard is working, everything was loaded from the flash ROM of the Freeway Triton card. Amazing stuff, I love it. Let's try a different disk. Let's now take this one out and let's boot from Amiga's game by Pandora. This is to show that not everything is as great as we would like it to be. So what I'm gonna do is now restart from the USB, because the control and Amiga keys work just fine. Slight caveat here is that they for some reason work with a delay here from this USB keyboard. So like I pressed it, it is going to restart now, but there's a delay. I don't know why, but it's restarting. I'm gonna dig into that a little bit. It doesn't have to be because of the Freeway card. It could be because of the HID input drivers. It could be because of the specifics of this Logitech keyboard. I don't know. The keyboard is working now. Let's skip this, and you will see right away that certain things require, I don't know pressing which one, but I pressed one of the keys on the regular keyboard or on the regular mouse. That's what I'm trying to show with this game. Not everything is perfect, simply because some of the games, especially older ones, actually not older ones, like any games. Let me try and skip this because it's loud. Some of the games don't really use the input device or the other standard OS drivers. They will use custom written drivers for their mice and for their keyboard. So look, this USB mouse, even though it's perfectly functioning, it's enabled and everything else, it's not working for this game because this game has its own support for the mouse. It's called hardware banging or metal banging, as they call it, basically writing games directly for the hardware, not through the standard drivers. So that's a game that wouldn't work with our USB input devices, but there are games that would. So it really depends on how the game is written. This is an example of a game that actually is based on the standard OS drivers for input and output. Let's restart again. Okay, and this game is actually based on standard OS drivers, so this one is going to support our USB mouse and keyboard. And I actually had to upload one more module to Freeway for this game to work. Do you remember maybe from one of my earlier videos on A3000T is that specifically to A3000 the Workbench library and the icons library are not within the Kickstart ROM, simply because there was no space for them. The space was taken by SCSI and IDE drivers. So normally for A3000T, the Workbench library and icons library are loaded from the disk. However, the flash ROM in Freeway Triton enables us to actually load Workbench library and icons library, and actually any library for that matter, whatever you need, you can load it from the flash ROM, which is what I did here on top of the modules that I listed before, that I mentioned before. I added Workbench library and icons library, so that games like these, which are based on the OS native libraries, are able to run. So this is the game. It needs env, but we don't need that. We'll cancel it, and you can see right away that the mouse is working here. It's using the flash ROM based driver, and if we start Battle Chess like this, again it will take a minute to boot. Let me skip. Now it's loaded, and you see the mouse is working, the keyboard is working. We can play. You can do whatever you wish. I forgot what it actually works like. Doesn't matter, it's working. So basically this is what I wanted to say, to show you the capabilities of Freeway Triton card. Highly recommended. I'm loving it. I'm gonna use it for my USB expansions, but also for loading modules at boot time. Yep, that basically concludes the video. Thanks for watching, and let me know in comments if you wanted to know anything else, or if you have any questions or remarks. Thank you very much. And of course, the coolest stuff you learn right after you finished recording your video. So this is what I learned. Look at this. Just accidentally by browsing what's available in Luciferin. So it has the menu here. So in the advanced section, you actually see the card that you're using. You can use multiple cards, and it says 14 megabytes available for your ROM modules. But a very fine option here to just set up Poseidon USB stack. So you remember the ones that, you know, the list of modules that I showed you earlier is simply something that I put together one by one, selecting from various places in the operating system, like wondering what's needed, what's not, to boot the Poseidon stack from scratch. And then it turns out that there's just this quick setup Poseidon USB menu item that you can use. Like I click this and it will just fill in the list with all the modules that are needed for booting up from scratch with the Poseidon software there. Very cool. Thank you again, Chris Hodges. Thank you again, the creators of the Freeway Triton card. I'm loving it. I'm gonna use it. Talk to you later.